You see, we may have the interest, to do community work, but what is more important to that is the commitment. And with that commitment comes the passion. I am Lee Lam Thye. I was a former member of parliament. I retired from politics in 1990. Since then, I have been very much involved with community work. I'm in a number of non-government organizations. I am also serving EcoWorld as the chairman of the EcoWorld Foundation. Now, I take pride in the fact that I'm able to play a role in the EcoWorld Foundation using my experience as a former elected representative of the people and one which was very actively involved in community service, and even until now. I would say that no one was left out. Everyone suffered because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which lasted for almost 2.5 years. The people of all races, they also suffered in terms of lack of income, in terms of even lack of food, in terms of unemployment. I must say here that during the period when pandemic existed, I'm happy to see that Malaysians have responded very well. People of all races have come together, to help one another. And it is something that made me feel very proud as a Malaysian. And I'm sure many others would share the same sentiment. The corporate sector also played an immense role in this. With the help of the staff and team EcoWorld, who contributed also in their own way, we managed to raise about 300,000 to help put food on the table for those who suffered, who were left without food, and so on. So I think what really is important is the fact that so long as we realize whether the community can function well, whether the community can succeed, whether the community can achieve certain objectives, it will largely be dependent on the people of the community. When I say people, people of all races, all religions, being able to come together, being able to share their experiences, being able to make some sacrifices, in times of need. And the young people, the youths of our country are very important because they are, after all, the future leaders of our country. When we talk about education, I must also like to emphasize here that we must ensure that poverty is not an obstacle to education. We must not deny, anyone education just because he or she is poor. And this is precisely the reason why in EcoWorld we have a foundation. We have come out with a program known as the SAP, Students Aid Program, SAP. We not only help the primary, the secondary, but more important than that is that we make sure that we see them through. We see them through until they complete their university education. Quite a number, I think almost more than 50 over of the students, they have today become graduated in medicine, in architecture, in engineering, and we are very proud to see that they have succeeded because EcoWorld Foundation. We always tell the students that we have helped you. We have helped you to succeed, okay? We have helped you to achieve your academic, your potential, your qualification. But at the same time, do not forget that when you graduate, when you have got a job as a professional, when you start to earn an income, of course, other than taking care of your family, you must also do your part, to help those less fortunate in the society. To be a community leader, you must yourself be disciplined. You yourself must set an example. a good example for all the rest to follow you. And of course, you must be a person of integrity. Integrity is very, very important. In many places that we live, we want to get to know our neighbors well. We want to be friends to our neighbors. We want the neighborhood to know one another, so that, in the event if we need help, we can help, one another. If we have, say, the right attitude, we want to get to know each other, we want to be friends with each other, we want to help one another, because we all live in a community, so that we can be strong, we can be together in a moment of crisis, we can help one another. I think if everybody adopt the right attitude, and this is the attitude to take, then I say that it certainly is important for us to make our neighborhood understand one another.
We need to understand social entrepreneurs are business people. They are there to do business. The only thing is that they are doing business for a cause. And with business, they can actually sustain the cause that they are championing for. My name is Kuhan. I'm a chartered engineer by profession, but a social entrepreneur by passion. So I co-founded Masala Wheels, one of the first food truck-based social enterprises in 2015. And till today, about 7 years later, it has grown into an accredited social enterprise and has made presence in over 5 countries with more than 700 alumni throughout the world. So to me, community is a group of diverse people united towards a common social objective. So not necessarily connected through a common location, but a group of people with a common objective towards probably empowerment of their own affiliated people or associated people, or a group of people who are united towards a common cause. So they can also be known as a community. So what started, I would say that they always say great ideas start under a tree, and that was how Masala Wheels started. It started under a tree in a corner of a mamak restaurant where we thought that we wanted to help one individual. So the idea of Masala Wheels started was to help one individual out of marginalisation, out of at risk, where if we could transform his life through F&B, we could actually change the community that he lives in. And that's how we started Masala Wheels, as a very simple pasar malam truck, not even a food truck, I would say. And then from there, it grew into a proper food truck, and then it started building a brand. Now the brand here, it started building a social brand where we started to have a community that associated themselves with impact and associated themselves with change making, and that's how Masala Wheels grew to where it is today in 2022. This has been a lonely space in the past few years, and over the years we have seen social entrepreneurship gaining a lot of traction, not only locally but also globally. And as it starts gaining more traction, we see that the space is becoming more populated. And when the space becomes more populated, challenges tends to grow, because there's always a challenge where trying to sieve out the most sincere one out of the masses. And that's one of the greatest challenges that we are facing, because when we see people trying to commit and also support social enterprises, they are not aware of how the model should be, and they're not aware on how it actually is being internalized within the organization. So that remains a challenge, identifying the sincere ones, supporting the sincere ones, and ensuring there is a proper social return of investment for every dollar being spent for the community. So one thing in the last 2 years, we have been going really strong on digital adoptions. So we've been launching a lot of cloud kitchens, and our communities on the grassroots are actually our cloud kitchen beneficiaries themselves. So, and since it's being tech driven, since it's being tech oriented, we have seen a revenue jump of at least 4 times in just the last 1 year. So that is the way forward. We are going to actually cut down back on physical assets. We are actually expanding our kitchens. We don't own the kitchens, it's owned by the communities, but that's where our brand is positioned. So just like Grab, they don't own a single car, nor they own a single bike, Likewise, we are taking that approach. We no longer own kitchens outside of Klang Valley. The only difference is that it will be empowered by the beneficiaries from the marginalized group, and we will bring them sales and we'll bring them revenue. So for me, the community I live in is, I think, number one is that physical interface. I think these days is where we lose out on that. We don't even know our neighbors at times because the world has changed so much. We are so digitally connected. We might be living in a community, but we don't know the names of our neighbors. We don't know who lives across. Probably, one great thing about Malaysia is that we are rich of culture, but we don't embrace the people around us. That means a lot to me. As a community, and living in a community is embracing the culture, starting from home itself and just your neighbors, and that's what it means a lot.